Reed stood at the massive window of the observation deck, his silver eyes fixed on the blue planet below. Earth. The name alone made other watchers nervous, but Reed couldn't help his fascination. As the youngest member of the Galactic Council's quarantine team, he had the energy to question what others accepted without thought. Still watching that death trap. The deep voice belonged to First Observer Marcus, Reed's superior. The older watcher's translucent skin rippled with concerned patterns. The energy readings changed again, Reed said, pointing to the holographic display floating beside him. Look at these spikes from the planet's core. They're forming patterns. Marcus moved closer, his long robes brushing the polished floor. We've seen such changes before, every few centuries. The signatures shift. That's why we maintain the quarantine. But Reed wasn't listening. His attention was caught by a new spike in the readings. This is different. The pattern. It's almost like a heartbeat. The observation station hung in space, hidden behind Earth's moon. For over 10,000 years, the Watchers had maintained their vigilant guard over this section of space. Their technology could have solved all of Earth's problems, ended their wars, cured their diseases, fixed their climate issues. But the risk was too great. Marcus touched the display, expanding the historical data. Remember what happened to the pioneers, most advanced civilization we'd ever encountered. They thought they could colonize Earth, sent a fleet of city ships. He paused, the memory patterns darkening his skin. Gone. All of them. Not destroyed, just gone. No traces, no signals, nothing. Reed had studied the records. 12 advanced civilizations had tried to claim Earth. Each disappeared without a trace. The planet seemed to swallow them whole, leaving nothing behind but the Watchers' warning buoys. A red alert flashed across their displays. Reed's hands moved quickly over the controls. Energy spike detected in the Pacific Ocean. Depth, 30,000 feet. Marcus leaned forward, his silver eyes widening. Location, near the Mariana Trench. But that's not all. Reed's voice trembled slightly. The pattern, it's responding to human activity. Their deep-sea exploration vessels triggered something. The humans didn't know it, but their rapid technological advancement was like a dinner bell ringing in the dark. Every new breakthrough, every step toward the stars, made the ancient readings pulse stronger. We should warn them, Reed said, not for the first time. They're developing faster than any species we've observed. At this rate. No, Marcus's voice carried the weight of ancient law. Direct contact is forbidden. You know this. The quarantine exists for their protection as much as ours. Reed watched a satellite image of a human research vessel floating above the disturbance. What do you think really lives down there? In Earth's core. Marcus touched a control, bringing up an ancient recording. The image showed a vast city of impossible architecture, built by beings that defied comprehension. The old ones didn't leave records about Earth's original inhabitants. They simply marked this sector as forbidden and fled. Whatever evolved there, it was enough to terrify beings we considered gods. The alert pulsed again. More energy signatures, this time spreading outward from the deep-sea location. Like ripples in a pond, or like something waking up, Reed whispered. Marcus sent an emergency signal to the council. Keep monitoring. And Reed? He turned to his young subordinate. Remember, we stay hidden for a reason. The humans think they're alone in the universe. For now, that's what keeps them safe. Reed nodded, but his eyes remained fixed on the growing energy patterns. The humans below had no idea they lived on top of something ancient and vast. Their cities were like tiny lights floating on a dark ocean, unaware of what stirred in the depths beneath them. And now, those depths were stirring more than ever before. Captain Jack Stone stared at the radar screen in Earth Defense Force headquarters, his coffee growing cold beside him. Something wasn't right. The objects moving through the asteroid belt weren't behaving like normal space rocks. Run that sequence again, he ordered, and the young operator next to him replayed the footage. The objects moved with purpose, stopping at specific asteroids, then moving on to others. "Sir," the operator said, "they're following a mining pattern." Stone had spent 15 years watching Earth's skies, and he'd never seen anything like this. "Get me a visual." The massive screen at the front of the control room flickered to life. The telescopes zoomed in on one of the objects. It was clearly mechanical, a sleek, silver drone about the size of a truck, with multiple arms extending from its body to drill into the asteroids. "Why didn't we see them coming?" Stone muttered, but he already knew the answer. They had appeared suddenly, as if they'd dropped out of nowhere. In the Watcher observation station behind the moon, alarms were blaring. Reed rushed to his monitoring station, his silver skin pulsing with alarm patterns. "Mining drones," he shouted to Marcus. "Corporate raiders from the outer rim. They must have slipped through the quarantine zone during the sensor reset." Marcus was already sending emergency signals to the council. "Shut them down. Now." But it was too late. On Earth, every major observatory was tracking the alien drones. News networks worldwide were broadcasting the footage. Humanity's first contact was happening, and it wasn't going according to anyone's plan. Stone's phone rang. The president was on the line. "Captain, what are we looking at?" "Unknown technology, Mom. They're mining our asteroid belt." He paused. "And they're not trying to hide." The Watcher ship dropped its cloaking field as it raced toward the mining drones. Reed watched in horror as Earth's defense satellites all turned toward them at once. "Our presence is exposed," Marcus said grimly. "Initiate emergency protocol." The mining drones suddenly exploded, turned to dust by Watcher weapons. But the damage was done. Humanity had seen too much. In the ocean depths near the Mariana Trench, something stirred. The energy readings that had worried Reed earlier suddenly spiked off the charts. Stone's control room erupted in chaos as new alerts flooded in. "Sir, massive energy spike in the Pacific. Another alien ship." "No, sir. It's coming from underwater. Deep underwater." The operator's voice shook, and there are similar readings appearing all over the world's oceans. On the Watcher station, Reed watched in fascination as ancient structures began powering up beneath Earth's oceans, structures that had been dormant for millions of years. "It's happening," Marcus whispered. "Our greatest fear. First contact with humans wasn't supposed to happen for another century. They weren't ready. And now?" "Now what?" Reed asked, though he dreaded the answer. "Now they'll wake up. The ones who sleep in Earth's depths. The ones we've been hiding from all along." Stone stared at his screens as reports poured in from around the world. Massive structures were rising from the deep, glowing with strange lights. And in the asteroid belt, more ships were appearing. But these weren't miners. The Watchers had arrived in force. Humanity's world changed forever in those few hours. They weren't alone in the universe. But that wasn't the biggest revelation coming. As the ancient structures continued to activate beneath the waves, both humans and Watchers could feel it. Something old was waking up, and it had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. Professor Anna White's submarine reached the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, its lights illuminating something that shouldn't exist. A massive black pyramid rose from the seafloor, its surface covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change as she watched. "Control, are you seeing this?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Reading you, Professor," Captain Stone's voice crackled through the radio. "Similar structures have been found in the Pacific and Indian Oceans. They're all activating at once." The pyramid's surface rippled like liquid metal. Anna's instruments were going crazy, showing energy readings that defied physics as she understood it. In orbit above Earth, Reed and Marcus watched the situation unfold with growing concern. The Watcher Council had finally authorized limited contact with humans, but only to prevent a greater disaster. "Your species calls these buildings ruins," Marcus explained to the human delegation aboard their station. "But they're not ruins. They're machines. living machines. Stone, who represented Earth's military, leaned forward. Living machines. Built by whom? Reed activated a hologram showing Earth as it was billions of years ago. The beings you would call the sleepers. They were Earth's first intelligent life. They didn't build these machines. They became these machines. Anna's submarine sensors detected movement. The pyramid was changing shape, parts of it flowing like mercury. Professor White to control. The structure is transforming. Her screens filled with strange patterns, not random, but not anything human mathematics could understand. The patterns seemed to reach into her mind, showing her images of beings that existed in more dimensions than humans could perceive. The sleepers achieved what you would call a technological singularity. Marcus continued in orbit. But instead of leaving Earth, they chose to become one with it. They transformed themselves into beings of pure energy and consciousness, existing within the planet's core. Why are they waking up now? Stone asked. Reed answered, because humanity has reached a critical point in its development. Your technology, your consciousness. You're beginning to resonate with their frequency. Deep under the ocean, Anna watched in awe as the pyramid opened like a flower. Inside, she saw something that her human mind struggled to process. Corridors that bent in impossible ways, rooms that were bigger on the inside than the outside. And everywhere, those strange shifting patterns. They're trying to communicate, she said suddenly, understanding flowing into her mind. These patterns, they're a language of pure mathematics and consciousness. The Watchers had feared this moment for millennia. Humans were starting to understand, starting to see beyond their limited three-dimensional perspective. The sleepers aren't hostile, Reed explained to Stone, but their very existence changes everything they touch. When those other civilizations found Earth, they weren't destroyed. They were transformed. They chose to join the sleepers. Anna's submarine lights caught movement in the water. At first, she thought it was sea life, but then she realized the truth. The water itself was moving with purpose, forming shapes and patterns that her instruments couldn't properly record. Control, she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. I don't think we're alone down here. And I don't mean the structure. The ocean. It's alive. All of it. In orbit, Marcus showed the humans more historical records. Earth isn't just a planet. It's their body, their mind, their world. The oceans, the core, even the magnetic field, all of it is part of their consciousness. Stone looked down at his home planet, seeing it with new eyes. And now they're waking up. All of them. Everywhere. Yes, Reed said softly. The question is, are humans ready to meet their planet's original inhabitants? Because they're not just waking up, they're reaching out. And they have waited a very long time for a species capable of understanding them. The power grid went down across North America without warning. Then Europe. Then Asia. One by one, Earth's power networks began to fail. But in their place, something else was spreading. A new kind of energy that made machines work in impossible ways. Professor Anna White stood in her lab, watching her equipment run without power. Glowing patterns flowed across the surfaces of her computers, the same patterns she'd seen in the deep-sea pyramid. They're not attacking our technology, she told Captain Stone over her mysteriously working phone. They're upgrading it. In the streets outside, cars continued to run without fuel. Lights glowed without electricity. And in every corner of the world, people began to dream the same dreams. On the Watcher station, Reed monitored the transformation with growing amazement. It's happening faster than anyone predicted, he told Marcus. The sleepers aren't just awake. They're reaching out to every human mind at once. Marcus watched the readings with concern. The Council has ordered an immediate evacuation of Earth. We're offering sanctuary to any humans who wish to leave. Stone stood in the EDF command center, now powered by the strange new energy. Professor, what exactly are these dreams people are reporting? Anna pulled up images on her screen, drawings and descriptions from around the world. Everyone was seeing the same things. Vast cities made of living metal, beings of pure light and thought, and an Earth that was more alive than anyone had imagined. "They're showing us what they are," she said, "and what we could become." In orbit, Reed noticed something that the other watchers had missed. The energy patterns. They're not random. They're responding to human thoughts and emotions. The sleepers are learning to communicate with humans in a way they never could with other species. Stone received the evacuation offer from the Watchers. Millions of humans could be saved from whatever was coming. But Anna's latest findings made him pause. "The sleepers aren't hostile," she insisted, her eyes bright with understanding. "I can feel them in my dreams. They're excited, like parents watching their children take their first steps. They'd been waiting for us to reach this point." The power transformation spread. Hospitals found their equipment working better than ever. Communications became instant and clear across any distance, and with each passing hour, more humans began to understand the patterns they were seeing in their dreams. Marcus addressed the council urgently. "We must act now, once the transformation reaches a critical point." "No," Reed interrupted. "Look at the data. The humans aren't being transformed against their will. They're being offered a choice. Each person, each community. They're all being given the chance to understand before they accept the change." Anna worked through the night, translating the patterns into something others could understand. "They're not just showing us what they are," she told Stone. "They're showing us what Earth really is. It's not just a planet. It's the most advanced living computer in the galaxy. And we're not just its inhabitants, we're its newest program." Stone looked out his window at the city below. The strange lights were beautiful now, not frightening. "How many people have accepted the Watcher's offer to leave?" "Less than 1%, Reed reported. "The rest, they want to stay. They want to understand." In her lab, Anna finally decoded the core message hidden in the patterns. She called Stone immediately, her voice trembling with excitement. "Captain, I know what they're trying to tell us. Why they chose this moment to wake up. Why they've been waiting so long." She took a deep breath. "They want us to join them, not by giving up our humanity, but by taking it to the next level. They're not our replacements. We're their successors." The truth about Earth's original inhabitants came not in a dramatic announcement, but through a child's dream. 10-year-old Tommy Baker woke up one morning and drew a perfect map of the sleeper city minds that existed within Earth's core. By nightfall, similar drawings had appeared all over the world. Professor Anna White studied these drawings in her lab, now transformed by the sleeper's energy into something that looked more like an alien art gallery than a scientific facility. "They're teaching us gradually," she told Captain Stone, "like parents helping their children learn to walk." In orbit, Reed watched the process with fascination. "Look at this," he told Marcus, pointing to his screens. "The humans aren't just receiving information. They're asking questions back. No species has ever done that before." The sleeper's story emerged piece by piece. They had achieved technological perfection millions of years ago, but instead of leaving Earth to explore the stars, they had chosen a different path. They had transformed themselves to exist within the planet itself, becoming living energy that could shape matter and consciousness. "But why stay?" Stone asked during a meeting with the Watcher Council. "Why not explore the galaxy like your people did?" Reed answered, his silver skin pulsing with revelation patterns. "Because they knew something we didn't. Earth isn't just a planet, it's a seed." Anna's lab equipment suddenly lit up with new patterns. The sleepers were confirming Reed's words, showing humanity the truth through dreams and direct neural connections. Earth was designed to nurture consciousness itself, to grow minds that could bridge the gap between matter and energy, between thought and reality. "Those other civilizations that disappeared," Anna explained to Stone, "they weren't destroyed. When they found Earth, the sleepers offered them the same choice they're offering us. Some accepted and joined them in their evolution. Others, like the Watchers, were too afraid and ran away." Marcus watched Earth's transformation with growing concern. The Council fears this could spread. If humans accept the Sleeper's offer, we already have, Stone interrupted, not to become them, but to learn from them, to grow into something new. In her lab, Anna made a breakthrough. The patterns weren't just a language. They were a key to understanding reality itself. The Sleepers had discovered that consciousness was the fundamental force of the universe, more basic than gravity or light. They had learned to exist as pure consciousness, able to shape matter and energy at will. But they were lonely, she told Stone. They wanted to share their discovery, to help other beings reach the same understanding. They'd been protecting Earth, guiding its evolution, waiting for a species that could understand them without losing their own identity. Reed's research confirmed her words. The Watchers were wrong all along. The Sleepers never wanted to absorb or destroy other civilizations. They wanted partners, beings who could walk the bridge between physical and energy states, between individual consciousness and universal awareness. In homes and schools across Earth, children began teaching their parents how to read the patterns. The transformation wasn't forced or frightening anymore. It was as natural as learning to read or write. Humanity was growing into a new understanding of reality, but they weren't losing themselves in the process. We were never meant to be their replacements, Anna realized, watching the patterns flow across her lab walls. We're their children, in a way. They created the perfect conditions for us to evolve, to become something that could understand both worlds, the physical and the conscious. We're not the end of humanity. We're its next chapter. Stone looked out at his transformed world. The fear was gone now, replaced by a sense of infinite possibility. Earth wasn't a prison or a trap. It was an incubator, and humanity had finally grown strong enough to understand its true purpose. World leaders gathered in the transformed United Nations building, now a structure of flowing metal and living light. The Watchers' evacuation ships hung in orbit, visible from every corner of Earth as bright stars that never moved. Humanity faced its biggest decision: stay and evolve, or leave and remain unchanged. Captain Stone stood at the podium, addressing representatives from every nation. "The Watchers offer us safety," he said, his voice echoing in the crystalline chamber. "But Professor White has discovered something they never knew about the Sleepers." In her lab, Anna worked with a group of children who could now read the Sleepers' patterns as easily as their own language. "Show them," she said, and the children raised their hands. The walls of the UN building came alive with flowing symbols that everyone could suddenly understand. The Sleepers aren't just Earth's past. Anna's voice came through the worldwide broadcast. They're showing us a future where humanity keeps its identity while growing into something greater. Reed, watching from the Watcher station, noticed something extraordinary. "Marcus, look at these readings. The humans, they're already changing, but not like the other species did. They're keeping their physical forms while their minds are evolving." Tony Baker, the boy who had first drawn the Sleeper cities, stood up in the UN chamber. The patterns around him danced and shifted as he spoke. "They're not asking us to stop being human," he said, his young voice clear and strong. "They're helping us become more human than we ever were." But some were still afraid. Military leaders pointed to the destroyed civilizations of the past. Political figures worried about losing control. The Watchers' evacuation offer looked tempting to those who feared change. "We found something in the deep-sea pyramids," Anna announced, her discovery silencing the debate. The Sleepers left a message, written in a way that only humans could understand. They'd been waiting for us, specifically us, because we can do something no other species could. Stone walked through the UN chamber as she spoke, watching the patterns swirl around him. "We can exist in both worlds at once," he said, understanding flowing through him, physical and energy, matter and consciousness. "We don't have to choose one or the other." Marcus received urgent messages from the Watcher Council. They had discovered attempts to sabotage Earth's transformation, old plans put in place by their ancestors who had feared the Sleepers' power. "We have to tell them," he said to Reed. "They need to know the danger." But Reed was already ahead of him. On Earth, The patterns shifted to show the truth. The Watchers had tried to destroy Earth several times in their history, hoping to eliminate what they saw as a threat to the galaxy. Each time, the Sleepers had protected the planet and its evolving life. They could have destroyed us, Stone told the UN Assembly. Instead, they protected us, guided us, waited for us to grow ready for this moment. They're not our enemies or our replacements. They're our teachers. Anna's voice came through again, filled with wonder. The choice isn't between leaving Earth or being absorbed by the Sleepers. It's about accepting our place in Earth's story, not as its conquerors or its victims, but as its children, growing into our full potential. Around the world, people watched their own hands begin to shimmer with the same living light that filled the transformed structures. But they remained solid, human themselves. The patterns weren't changing them. They were awakening something that had always been there. This is what Earth was made for, Tommy said, speaking for all the children who now understood. It's not just our home. It's our school. And we're finally ready to graduate. 1 year after humanity's choice, Earth had become something the galaxy had never seen before. The planet glowed with a soft blue light visible from deep space, but it wasn't the light that amazed the watching aliens. It was the harmony they sensed between 3 different forms of life. Professor Anna White stood in her garden, her body solid and human, while her consciousness stretched out to touch the flowing patterns of energy that now filled the air. Above her, stars sparkled in the daytime sky. Not stars, but the minds of millions of humans exploring space without leaving their bodies. The Watchers are coming back, Captain Stone said, appearing beside her. Like all humans now, he could project his consciousness anywhere on Earth while his physical form remained safe at home. They want to learn from us. In orbit, Reed and Marcus watched the approach of the Watcher fleet. But this time, they weren't coming with warnings or evacuation ships. They came as students, hoping to understand how humans had achieved what no other species could. Look at them, Reed said with wonder. They've kept their physical forms, but they can shift between solid and energy states at will. They can talk to the Sleepers without losing themselves. They've become the bridge we always feared was impossible. Tawny Baker, now 11, stood at the entrance of a deep-sea pyramid, teaching young Watcher children how to read the patterns. Around them, the ocean moved with conscious purpose, filled with the thoughts of Sleepers and humans working together to clean and heal Earth's waters. The patterns aren't just a language, Tommy explained to his alien students. They're the code of reality itself. Once you understand them, you can choose how solid or energy-like you want to be. Anna's research center had become a gathering place for beings from across the galaxy. Some came to learn, others to trade knowledge, but all were amazed by what humanity had become. They weren't the unstoppable warriors some species had feared, nor the transcended energy beings others had predicted. They were something entirely new. We keep our bodies because they're part of who we are, Stone explained to a group of curious aliens. But we can also stretch our minds across space, share thoughts with the Sleepers, and reshape matter when we need to. We're still human. We've just grown into the full potential of what human means. The Sleepers, once feared as Earth's dark secret, now worked openly with their human partners. Together, they explored the deeper mysteries of consciousness and reality. The planet had become exactly what it was meant to be: a school for evolution, a place where physical and energy beings could learn from each other. In the transformed UN building, now a spire of living crystal that reached into space, Anna shared humanity's next step with the galaxy's representatives. Earth isn't just for us anymore, she announced. It's a place where any species can learn to bridge the gap between matter and energy, between individual and universal consciousness. The Sleepers built it for everyone. We were just the first graduates. Reed, watching from his station, finally understood why his people had been so afraid. We thought Earth was a trap, he told Marcus. But it was really an invitation, one that we were too scared to accept. Tommy stood on a beach, watching new alien children arrive for their first lessons. Above him, human minds danced among the stars. Below, the sleepers' vast thoughts moved through Earth's core. And all around, reality itself seemed to pulse with joy at the harmony they had achieved. This was always the plan, he said, smiling as the pattern swirled around him. Not to end humanity, but to help it grow. Not to empty Earth, but to fill it with life of all kinds. Not to transcend physical reality, but to learn how to dance between all forms of existence. And in the depths of space, other planets watched and wondered, ready to begin their own journey of evolution.